Hold on.
We're 15 routines away removed from what's going on. BookSmarts did know all of this stuff. He knew all of the context for all of this. Why are we pretending that he didn't? One thing that
Why would it not be a biological process?
One thing that I've become increasingly less concerned with, and I felt this way back when I was like 17, 18, and I let myself go too far in the other way on it, is the constant excuses for everybody being a weak, spineless person as soon as anything gets tough. I reject that. You can't call yourself a good person, a smart person, somebody does what's right, somebody that does what needs to be done. If every single time things get difficult, you fold. But then on the flip side, now you have somebody that's on the hook.
Are you psychic? Do you know everything that I was gonna say? Did you know everything I was gonna say before I said it?
It's like you're listing out this whole grand rationale for why somebody might make a decision that would fucking destroy your life. That's
you
great.
have sub-zero IQ motherfuckers in your chat.
I don't think that there has been some ban that was justified in the past from you. I have no idea why you've been banned in the past. Sure, I've seen bad tweets from you. I don't even know if those bad tweets are ban-worthy. I don't know if posting a burning cross to somebody is ban-worthy. I don't know if any of this other shit is ban-worthy. Like, I don't really care about any of that.
Okay,
I can feel bad about your engagement on Twitter independently.
Let me think about it 1 second.
Very reasonable reasons, okay? So I don't think he should even have access to Twitter as a platform. And I think that the way that he uses Twitter, every time he makes a new account, simply demonstrates that he should not have a Twitter account. So ultimately, I don't think he should have a Twitter.
Hey, when you say like every time he makes a new Twitter account, it demonstrates that he shouldn't have a Twitter account. What do you mean?
Yeah, because you're ban evading.
No, you know that's not what you meant when you said that.
No, that's literally what I don't know.
So when somebody says this black dude is guilty and he knows he is, that's why he's resisting arrest. You would never, ever, ever use. No, I don't. Okay. There's a game happening right now, and I understand it. I understand it. The conversation is boring me now. I understand what's happening. Okay. I think I have overall the tone of like the clip of what's being said. But I mean, if you want
a third party who understands like my autism and could maybe help with this, bro? Because I don't know. I feel bad that you think
here. We can watch this together on ×1 if you want at the very
Twitter
beginning,
account.
Let me know when you're ready.
Can I have Supreme come in though? Because I feel like at this point I can't say anything to like convince you of my mental state, and you think that I believe shit that's like this feels like Mr. Girl conversation all over again.
Sure, here I added this. Let me know when you're ready to go.
Yeah. I am all ready to go.
Supreme, do you have that clip?
Hello.
Hey, Supreme, hello? Are you watching stream? And then you asked him specifically, in the last 3 months, what are some things that you thought were good? So initially you said over the last couple of years.
Jesus, okay. Well, obviously I'm gonna walk that back quicker than Vash, dude. Yeah, because I've covered shit that, oh my goodness. Okay,
well, I don't know. Maybe you're thinking, well, what do you think, Wicked Supreme? You're the third party brought in here. You were the one requested, by the way, by BookSmarts.
When people get the idea that you're an anti-fan, do you see how this sort of pretty much conceals that narrative? You're somebody that has been in like Destiny's life that he can, you know, at some point reasonably trust not to backstab him, or that he considered a friend to some degree or something like that. And like, just looking at all the stuff that we've talked about today, it seems like you have a tendency to be a little too comfortable being like, really, I know this word gets thrown around a lot, but like really unfair and really uncharitable to like somebody who's helped you out a lot.
Familiar, my name is Connor. I run a YouTube channel named Counterpoints. I am on the Twitch and Twitter and YouTube politics debate scene. Came up, you know, in the same community as Destiny. Love that shit. But I saw a couple of people that I viewed as friends fighting, and I wanted to add some insight because I felt like it went relatively negatively, and I wanted to stand one of my buddies against, hopefully, one of my friendly work associates, and that's kind of what I wanted to do today.
You want to stand? Wait, which person?
Well, so, I mean, like, I think all of your reactions are understandable, but I wanted to stand Book, so.
Oh, God, okay.
So, all right. So to start it off, it seems like there were some contentions. I did write some notes so we can kind of blaze through them. I think that logically, understandably, you kind of separated out like the tautology of you being banned off of Twitter as being like, oh, well, I'm banned off of Twitter for a shitty reason, therefore you shouldn't use that as justification for the other ones. Book's counter rebuttal that I don't think he articulated particularly well was the fact that he viewed the moral outcomes of that ban as both positive for yourself and positive for others. And that's what he was trying to separate. And it didn't seem like he really accepted that as an answer. So if I was to further the argument that he was okay with the tautology because of the moral outcomes, do you like accept that premise, or do you think it's bullshit?
No, I think that's like an argument that somebody could make.
Okay. Then yeah. So just to articulate it for the audience if they're not catching up, I think that some people, myself included sometimes, are frustrated with the lack of productivity in the Twitch and Twitter politics sphere. And we all love blood sports and we're all addicted to them. That's why, people who follow your model have the metrics they do, and the people who are more like kind and nuanced have the metrics they do. But at the same time, a lot of the people who are kinder and don't like those metrics, they wish the space would evolve into something a little bit more productive. So is there anything objectionable in that point, or are you good with it?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right. That moves us into the
I don't know
N-word.
what like productive means, but
Productive? Yeah, so I would define productive as like the viewpoints that we actually espouse on the internet have some kind of real world impact, whether that's like more people are pro-socialism or pro-communism or pro-capitalism or pro-progressive politics.
I asked that question half trolling. I don't believe that they want more productive conversations. I think they want hug boxes. I think that most people consider a productive conversation one where everybody talks and nobody's mean to each other, and that's a good productive conversation. What I would say productive conversation is a productive conversation is one that is challenging but forwards the discourse somehow. So I reject the notion that people want more productive conversations. I don't think they want productive conversations. I just think they want everybody to be nice to each other.
All right. Well, you're not. So do you think that it's possible that like maybe the audiences want blood sports and maybe pussified members of the audience want everybody to hug each other, but
no, I'm not talking about blood sports. I'm talking about challenging conversations, ones where people have disagreements, and then the resolution of those disagreements creates a forward motion in the discourse. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but okay, so fuck the discourse, because at the end of the day, I view discourse as kind of like an attention economy, right? Where we are content creators who are using political content in order to draw attention to ourselves, both for our self-enrichment and mental engagement and fighting for the political tribes that we identify with. That's all well and good, but then what I would argue that I'm leaning towards, that I would want, and I think anybody who's smart would want, is there's a shitload of energy and a shitload of cash that is spent in this space. So leveraging that into real world action would be a cool thing to do. And I already kind of know you agree with that because you've already done it, as much of a pain in the balls it was.
Okay, so are you saying that some people want like real world action or whatever?
Yeah, and not just electoralism,
Okay, no,
but also like community engagement and all that kind of
so.
stuff.
I don't think so. I think people just want to enrich themselves here, and all of their behavior points to that. If you show me somebody who acts in a different way, I'll believe you, but I'm not going to believe you for the overwhelming amount of people. RGR does stuff in the real world. Dylan kind of does. But I can't think of anybody else besides that. Otherwise, people are just here to make money as content creators.
So do you think, so for instance, if you were to highlight some of the other people, so for instance, RGR, you mentioned, Dylan, you mentioned, Hans of Arkir, he doesn't take any money from the space. Myself, I'm only making very small amounts of money off of this, so it's not my full-time thing, and I do plan on leveraging those economics. And then Books, as much as there was that kind of like economic, criticism of the way that he's been running his stream, at the same time, he does seem to be, or at least it appeared that he was trying to achieve a higher goal. Do you think that he's actually motivated by that higher goal, or do you think
goal
that
is like creating content, right? Yeah.
Well, not just creating content, but also facilitating. Like, so for instance, like if anything, that comment that he made where it was like, "Oh, I haven't liked anything that Destiny's done in the past couple of years," it's probably tied to his exhaustion with the lack of productivity in the Twitch politics space. No,
but I've had plenty of productive conversations. That's not. He wants conversations that are nicer.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fine. And honestly, like that,
I don't think that's fine. I think it's cancerous. I think it's stupid that people have gotten obsessed with just people sounding nice to each other without saying anything. It's empty, hollow, meaningless.
But I don't even think that he would be the majority opinion. I think most people want blood. So I don't even think he's a majority opinion. I think he's just trying to have an impact on the space.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah, well, and also, what about Not So Erudite? I know that you haven't watched her content yet, but do you think that her motivation is primarily like financial, or do you think that she's actually trying to have like a psychosocial impact on the space?
I don't know. She seems like a cool person, though. But
yeah.
I mean, she's really new here. She's not like a stable figure yet.
Yeah, and it's also wouldn't you kind of admit that it's not like an either or factor? It's probably like a combination. Like people want to have most people, most decent people, they want to have a positive impact, but they also want to get paid at the same time. Like, couldn't it be multiple factors all at the same time?
I fit into that, of course. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair. Then, so the N-word thing was the second point. So keeping it nice, clean, to the point. Okay. So the public characterization where off the cuff he was just kind of like, oh, Destiny was saying the N-word in public or whatever. That was, I think, flippant and stupid. But I've been in similar social situations where perhaps people were acting egregiously, and basically, like, it did make me uncomfortable. Would you be willing to grant any kind of concession to the fact that even if you were using the N-word appropriately from a social perspective that you have, that maybe others could still be uncomfortable with your use of it in public? And I can give a contextual example as well.
I don't need one. Yeah, of course, obviously. Much the same way that, like, I saw Frank yesterday. It was really uncomfortable. He went way farther into my ass than I thought he was going to. Could be a valid, like, critique of a colonoscopy, but it would be pretty fucking stupid of you not to mention that that's what was going on, if that was what was happening.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's a valid thing to say.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So if he had qualified it and said it like, hey, he wasn't having like the super negative conversation where he's just screaming the N-word, then, but we were having a not a contentious, but a sensitive conversation in public that other people might have overheard, gotten pissed off at, and taken issue with.
Yeah, of course. That would be way different.
Okay. And then another factor would be basically like, you mentioned in context that, basically part of the contextualization would have been that might have made things different, was the fact that you guys had gone to a Trump rally in the past and had been purposefully aggressive to elicit a reaction. Whereas somebody like myself, who's a little bit more careful and prone to think that violence is going to start in public, I would be more concerned with like violence breaking out. And can you see
Sure, why would you go?
Why would you go?
If a bunch of liberals told you that there was a Trump rally, then you're retarded. Yeah, hold on, you're an ex-cop.
Listen, people
so
are allowed to be retarded, right?
You're not allowed to say something that fucking stupid, because I know that you're not that stupid, right?
Uh-huh.
If I were to tell you, hey, me and a bunch of liberal friends are going to a Trump rally, are you going to show up with like your like fanny pack and like, oh boy, like, like, okay, yeah, like shit might get a little bit dicey, right? Of course you know that.
Yeah, but I'm going to go to watch your back and make sure that you're not escalating past a line that I think will actually get you hurt or killed.
Sure, that's fine, but you're going knowing what you expect to happen there. If you show up and you're like, I can't believe things escalate, like, yeah, what do you?
Sure. But like, if you're the careful friend, so I was always the careful friend. I was the one who, like, everybody's getting blackout drunk, everybody's doing harder drugs, everybody's like, they're scattering all over the place and doing all the dangerous shit, and I'm the one who's like, hey guys, maybe don't go do hard drugs with strangers. Maybe don't get into cars with people you don't know. Maybe don't split up in downtown areas where you don't know who the fuck is anybody, like that kind of thing. Like, do you see how like you could still like people who are more or who are less risk sensitive but still look after their well-being, and also be a little bit put off as a more careful person seeing people engaging in like more dangerous behavior?
I don't know what all those sentences together meant.
That means do you think that Book could have rightfully thought that having that sensitive of a conversation in public would mean that you as a person are more willing to take risks in public than he is, and that could make him uncomfortable?
Sure, potentially.
Okay. All right. So he just articulated it in a stupid fucking way, which I think we all do at some point. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had for that one. So unless you got anything else on that one you want to?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So manipulation was the third point in the conversation that I felt was like a little bit contentious. And I think the negativity that you associate with the word manipulation is kind of like, I think it's fair. I think most people associate being manipulative as a negative attribute, but don't you think that in the past you've admitted to like social engineering and maybe practicing with lies and seeing what you could get away with as like a personal trait that you previously had, even if you weren't using it for bad in this situation?
Sure. So does that mean every single time I talk to somebody that I'm a manipulator?
No, not necessarily. What I would say is, so for instance, like very specifically, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a little bit familiar with the lore, but I might have missed something. Did you guys, when it was like Bose, Melina, and you were putting stuff together, and you were kind of figuring out that Bob 7 was full of shit, was there a moment where you were like, hey, we're going to have a conversation and we're going to ask a question that we know is incorrect without Bob 7's knowledge that this other person is in the room who's going to be able to contradict that information?
I don't believe that happened. I think there was a personal conversation between Bob and Melina that Melina recorded. But I think there was only one of those. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was the case.
Okay,
The vast
and then
majority of the recorded stuff was like from before. Like there wasn't like any intentional. But I mean, people started recording stuff because
well, and so I guess my question is, so with that conversation, was that, and like, by the way, this is not impugning morally, because basically I think that these are tools, like social engineering, trying to get people to do what you want to do. If you're trying to get people to fucking volunteer at a food kitchen or some shit for fucking homeless people, and you kind of use some social engineering techniques to get them there, versus you're trying to get them to commit a genocide, these are obviously two way different things because the outcomes are different. But I'm assuming Bob, during that like Melina conversation, he didn't know he was being recorded, right?
of course not.
Okay, so that's kind of my point. Where, and then was that like something that you either helped orchestrate, or that you thought about, or you were like, hey, check out if this motherfucker says this shit, and then see what it is and record it that way. We have evidence.
But I mean, I think I told Melina at some point, like, hey, start recording all of your convos or whatever. But it might have been her idea to do it, like to ask those specific questions. I don't know.
Okay, all right, fair. Then, since this is my impression, but not necessarily something you remember, if that was the impression of other people, let's say that BookSmarts had a similar impression to me, do you think that he would potentially be correct in assigning some level of like higher political or social cleverness on your part once you started like your detective skills and applying it to a personal social situation?
Sure, potentially.
Okay, all right, then I mean, like that's where for me, like the word manipulate carries a lot of negative connotation, but like I think that you yourself would admit that you have a while at sometimes being accused of being abrasive, you do have like a certain instinct and smell for when other people are bullshitters, and it might be because you've done some bullshit.
Sure, but the problem is
in the
manipulate
past.
is a morally loaded word.
Sure.
Do you acknowledge that, or do we just move? Okay, manipulate is a morally loaded word. When people talk about manipulation, oftentimes they're talking about for the purposes of deceit. Somebody is being manipulated through false intentions, or to get them to say something they don't mean or whatever. Like, this is what manipulation tends to mean. So it's like a little bit weird when we say like, I'll use more police examples. Let's say that a husband tricked his daughter into killing his wife. I don't think you would ever, and I think if I were to say this, I think you would start soying out on your stream. If I were to say like, those police officers in the interrogation room manipulated that guy into a full confession the same way that that guy manipulated his daughter into killing his wife, I don't think you would ever say that statement. Would you?
No, but if you use the manipulate in a standalone, where...
No, but that wasn't what happened, though.
Okay.
It was a direct comparison to, didn't you manipulate girls kind of like Bob 7 did? That was the comparison.
And yeah, and I think you can take umbrage with that comparison, because like we already said, things can be used for positive and negative ends. But would you be as likely to consider, let's say that it was a standalone comment, where the cop was like, during the interrogation, he was like, hey, listen, man, we just really want to get to the bottom of this. We want to hear your side of the story. Like, you know, we're hearing from other people some shady stuff that happened in your past, and we're kind of worried. I mean, like, we don't think that you're in trouble or anything, but like, you know, we want to hear what happened from your side of this perspective so we can present that to the jury. Now, I'm not in it like an interrogator. I'm not a licensed interrogator. I never made detective. But assuming that was perfectly like legally responsible after...
Okay, hold on, wait, stop. Okay, hold on. We gotta back away from this, okay?
Sure.
I wish I had a link to this paper. I read this paper a while ago, and it's stuck with me now for how people use words, and I like see the games so much better that are being played, okay? So we don't... Dictionaries and prescriptiveness doesn't work when it comes to words, okay? They don't mean anything in and of themselves. If I say a word, even if I say phrases, right? It's like phrases taken together in context, okay? We're not having a discussion over the word manipulate here. The word doesn't even matter. What it means, what it stands for, what we think, none of that matters. The issue that I had was that manipulate, in the context that you were deceiving people for personal gain, was applied to one person, and then immediately thereafter, it was applied to me in a comparative manner. That's the issue. I don't need like the 50, like, well, I'm gonna manipulate his title, like that wasn't the issue. That's not the problem. The problem was there was an equalization done between the behavior of me and the person that I was attacking. That's what I take issue with. And 50 million different ways to jump around what the word manipulate isn't gonna make me change my feelings on that. There's no way to like talk around that. Well, but that's what you're trying to do.
No, I think your feelings are valid, that you feel like you were associated with a certain level of social negativity that you don't view your behavior.
Your feelings are always valid. That's a meaningless statement. It's not that my feelings are valid, it's that my observation is correct. There was a comparison made showing
your
that
observation is correct. I think your feelings are valid, okay? I'm saying
about feelings being valid, okay? This isn't kindergarten Barney time, okay? I don't give a fuck about that shit, right? The point is whether or not the observation is correct.
What if I care about your feelings, Steven? What if I care about your feelings?
I don't care if you care about my feelings.
Well, that's rude. Okay. Anyways.
Well, it's not rude. I just don't care. I truly don't care if you care about my feelings. Okay, but my point is whether or not the observation was correct. And I believe my observation was correct. That my behavior to a third-party observer would be like, oh, both these guys manipulated people in this situation, which I don't think is a fair takeaway. Even if if we go through and we look at the dictionary definition of every word, it's technically maybe on a super technical level kind of sort of true. It's not. That wasn't the point being conveyed. That wasn't the message.
So then can I back up to a previous point, which is there's I have an example if you'll indulge me. So there was when I was in high school, there was a friend of mine who was a rich, egotistical, narcissistic maniac. And I loved him, and he was a good friend. But basically, he noticed that his girlfriend and I were being nice to each other. And so he had his girlfriend intentionally pretend that she had feelings for me to see whether or not I would fuck him over. Based. Now, so I basically wrestled with it. His girlfriend was hot. But a day later, I basically told my best friend and told my best friend's friend. And, they were like, oh, you passed the test. Now, from his perspective, he's trying to make sure that I'm not a piece of shit and I'm worthy of being in his circle. And then he's trying to make sure that his girlfriend is willing to, I don't know, play along with his fucking feelings or some shit. But even if that was like a positive end, could you see how the social engineering would make the person uncomfortable, like make me uncomfortable because I was socially engineered, even if it was
of course. It makes
a
you feel like people
end.
are playing games, shit tests with you or whatever. I usually stop talking to people that do dumb shit like that.
Right. So inferring maybe incorrectly that there was a moment in Georgia where you and Bose and Melina got together and you're like, oh, this motherfucker's been playing everybody. Let's see if we can play back a little bit by recording this conversation and confronting him on things that we know to be bullshit with other people in the room. And without that person necessarily knowing that those people are there, could you view how that level of social engineering might make somebody who doesn't like to play those games a little uncomfortable, even if it's justified?
Sure.
Okay. Then cool.
You're missing all of the hyper autistic gymnastics is missing the point behind everything though. Right?
What?
Let's say that a statement's okay. A guy comes out and he says, yesterday, John raped Jane, and I don't like being around rapists. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, holy fuck. Then you find out that John and Jane engage in consensual, non-consensual. And then now John is really pissed off. He's like, wait, well, dude, you called me a fucking rapist. And now another guy, we'll call him Mark Points, decides to come on a Discord and he's like, okay, now let's talk for a second about the rape accusation. When he called you a rapist, he said you raped Jane. Now, we can agree that technically by the definition, maybe what he said in the context wasn't as bad as it was. But can you understand that, like, just the fact that you have the propensity to engage in consensual, non-consensual, that might make somebody uncomfortable? It's like, okay, yeah, sure, all right. And it's kind of like, to refer to that as like rape play is like, okay, right? Yeah, sure, okay, yeah, rape play. So if you have a friend, you know that he engages in rape play. You found out that this happened. Let's say he raped somebody. Right now it was consensual, not consensual, but he raped him. And they engaged in rape play. It's probably okay for him to be uncomfortable, and maybe it was a little bit kind of like haphazard. But he said like, oh, you raped Jane, and like that makes me uncomfortable. Like that's fair for him to have that feeling, right? Like this is the conversation we're having. It's insane.
Okay,
like,
so let me follow up on the insanity.
It's kind of true, like on the okay.
So
yeah,
so let me follow up on the insanity. So let's say that somebody doesn't spend their waking hours following everybody's sexual relationships, and as a result, you guys are all friends. You go hang out at a bar. You and your partner sneak out behind the alley, and basically there's some light choking. Okay. Now this friend has no fucking idea what the context of the shit is, because he doesn't pay attention to your fucking relationships. He just sees that, like, hey, maybe there's some, abuse here. Maybe there's some manipulation. Maybe there's some crazy shit going on. I don't fucking know, but I don't like it because I'm a prude and I only like fucking missionary. And I only like, very straightforward, clean, black and white Christian sex. Even if that person was like, well, I saw that person go out behind the alley and they were, they sexually assaulted this person. Even if they're incorrect, can you kind of like, and even if they use the incorrect words because it was consensual, can you kind of understand like maybe a slip of the tongue or a slight uncomfortableness?
No, hold on. If you're like that far removed from everything, you should probably just shut the fuck up. That would be my thing. If you don't know what the fuck is going on and you're that far removed from all the shit and you don't know like just don't say anything. Just mind your own business. That's what I would
listen,
say.
we absolutely agree here, but aren't we in the business of making commentary without fully knowing every fucking thing about everything?
No. What? That should be the opposite of what our goal is.
Wait. Are you saying goal, what should be, or what is?
What should be. We shouldn't be making comments without knowing at least partially what's going on. But that's not even the problem. Hold on. We're 15 routines away removed from what's going on. BookSmarts did know all of this stuff. He knew all of the context for all of this. Why are we pretending that he didn't? Yeah, wait, do you think he just stumbled? Like, he didn't just stumble into a restaurant and hear me screaming the N-word, or stumble into a Trump rally and see me, like, surrounded by Trumples. Right?
So do you think that's malicious or ignorant or wussy? What do you think that is?
It's unbelievably ignorant, bordering on like what's the reckless,
negligent,
reckless. Yes.
Okay, so hold up, but I want to push back on at least one concept, because I engage with your content a fair decent amount of the time. So even with me watching the Bob 7 Manifesto, watching some of the content leading up to the Bob 7 Manifesto, I thought that there was a moment of social engineering in which Bob 7 didn't know that he was having a conversation with 3 people and he was only having a conversation with 1. And when it was revealed that there was contradictory information, like Bob 7 was ambushed. I'm not critiquing
there might have been a call like that between, I think it might have been between Raj Molina Bose and him. That might have been. I don't remember all the calls. It's all there on the thing if you want to pull it.
Sure. But my point is, so for instance, like I'm monogamous. I've been a serial monogamous person my entire life. But done some shady shit in the past, and from my shady shit, I kind of decided that monogamy was the way to go. There's a certain level where this level of drama being in your life is in and of itself kind of like, oh yeah, that's why I'm monogamous. So if Books is the kind of person who's like very much the rhetoric guy, very much the communicative guy, very much the straightforward guy, can you see how even if you're using those powers for good, being investigative,
yeah, you're just repeating
smart,
my other example back at me, though. I agree that you can have that perspective, but the way that you present that needs to be handled carefully.
Okay, and then let's get into the descriptive versus prescriptive. You can say that Twitch and Twitter and YouTube politics as a scene should be more responsible with the way that they disseminate and criticize information, and I'll completely fucking agree with you. I don't think anybody would disagree with you. But if we were to look at it as a space...
Sorry.
What? Did a cat just scratch your balls? What happened?
Twitch and YouTube need to be more responsible with how they're doing their shit. Go ahead.
Wait, what triggered you? Did you die in the video game?
Yeah, no, don't. It's just not even relevant to anything in the universe right now.
Motherfucker, you just said that it should be a space in which we don't comment on things that we don't know. Why are you telling me that a subject isn't important if you're the one who brought it up?
I wasn't screaming at you. I died in the video game in a very bad spot. That's why I just screamed. I'm sorry. I wasn't contradicting what you were saying.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
okay. You were saying that in the Twitch and YouTube space, right? Descriptively, we should try to be more responsible, right? Go ahead.
Or prescriptively, you're saying that we should be more responsibly. Descriptively,
yeah, that should be like our aim. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say the chaos and the blood and the destruction that's brought with dumbasses articulating their shitty, half-baked opinions? Don't you think that's like half the entertainment of this space?
If you want to say that it's entertaining, and
motherfucker, you know the answer is yes. You know it's yes.
Okay, That's fine, but then you can't get upset at somebody else for being upset at it.
Sure.
Right?
No,
Then what's the discussion about?
Well, because
you argue that, like, isn't it kind of funny when people fuck shit up?
your
Like, sure, but if somebody
feelings.
fuck shit up, I don't care.
I love your feelings. I want you to feel so good.
So no feelings are valid. So it doesn't matter. You know what makes me feel bad is when somebody tells me they're validating my feelings. It makes me feel like a moron. It makes me feel like a special education kid. Because who the fuck cares if my feelings are, everybody's feelings are valid. So why the fuck would I feel any better knowing that, right? I could be a fucking hallucinogenic schizophrenic person, and my hallucinations are valid. It doesn't mean anything. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm interested in.
So let's follow that branch out, since you don't give a shit about the fact that I give a shit about your feelings. Okay, the reason why people care about statements like this, which you don't, which is fine, but at the same time,
are valid statement.
Oh, motherfucker, you gonna let me finish the point? You can interrupt 3 seconds into it.
No, I'm just saying which one. You're talking about the feelings being valid statement.
Yes,
right?
your feelings
Okay,
are valid.
go ahead.
It's because some people are fucking delusional and they're disconnected from reality. And so it's always good to have a sober check from your friends on whether or not you feeling a certain way is correct. I feel stupid shit about stupid shit all the fucking time. And I go to the wife for a sobriety check and I'm like, hey, this is the way that I'm feeling. Am I being fucking crazy? And half the time she's like, no, you're not being fucking crazy. It's perfectly fine to feel that way. And then half the time she's like, yeah, you're being fucking crazy. Stop being such a pussy. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get back to work. So having a partner or a friend who can sober check you on your feelings is an important part of keeping your emotional life in tune.
Okay, I don't need that, but thank you. I understand your explanation.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you understand my explanation. That's good. All right. Okay. Anyways, so last point. Reflexive criticism. Basically, it's very easy in this space to fall into a trap of hating you or loving you, and it's hard to hate you and love you simultaneously. And I think that's the danger that a lot of creators who come onto your platform in order to get a small or medium-sized boost is, on one hand, it's very positive and it's very fun to interact with you because you get to debate, enjoy, have fun, all that kind of shit.
I'm a real human being, okay? Not like these fake fucking losers that infest this fucking platform like scum fucks.
You say that, but then you don't care about my feelings and you don't care that I care about your feelings.
Yeah, but who the fuck cares? At least you know I'm being honest with you. I don't think you give a fuck about my feelings. Who the fuck cares? Like, or maybe you do, like, as a kind of a whatever person.
Okay, so let me be dead honest. I think you're a funny fucking guy. I think you're
sure, but you don't know me, right? I don't know you that well, right? We don't we can say that we respect each other as like humans, but like that's the extent of our relationship, right? So when you tell me things like your feelings are valid, I care, like, oh yeah, whatever. Like insofar as like the Discord call is concerned, but
okay, so hold on, because this is fucking weird because you're making like a super strong delineation between like parasocial interaction and just regular social interaction. So you're saying I don't know you, but you
don't know me.
Yeah. So I don't know you, but I've seen hours of your debate content. I know your personal politics. I know shit about your personal life. You stream 8 to 10 hours a day. I see, like, while I don't watch you 8 to 10 hours a day, I know what your fucking life is. Mm-hmm. Like, so you're saying I don't fucking know you. I know you better than I know some of my fucking high school friends because of how often you're on social media. And then on top of that, your life is commented on by tens of thousands of people. It's fucking weird. Like on one hand, maybe you don't know me, right? Like which is fine. Like I don't give a fuck. I'm just like one of 10,000 motherfuckers that's interacting with you, right? But at the same time, like you got to understand that's not entirely true. Like
when I say you don't know me,
I
don't mean this in the sense that like you don't know anything about my life or anything about the fights I get in or any of the drama that I'm involved in. I say that we don't have like a personal relationship, right? We are like exist as like colleagues. Like very few people are like personal friends to anybody in this space, right? Just because typically all of our things exist online. Not that that's impossible.
But do you think based off of the way that you conduct yourself in this pseudo-professional, pseudo-social setting, that I might be able to infer some things about your strengths and your weaknesses and your principles and your virtues and your flaws?
I'm sorry. When I'm saying no, I don't just mean know who I am. I mean have a personal relationship with. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Then fair. All right. So anyways, let's get back to reflective.
I think you're a cool dude, though. I like you. I'm not trying to say that like you're like horrible
Well,
person or whatever. But, yeah,
since
okay,
you
go ahead.
don't know me, if I'm ever cool enough to go shoot guns with, I promise not to murder you, and we can go shoot guns. Because we're finally in a state, you're finally in a state with high capacity magazines. So if you ever want to like blow up some tannerite or shoot some appliances, I can facilitate that.
Wow,
Anyways.
gotcha. Okay.
Shooting stream, IRL stream, it'd be fucking based. Anyways, point is that as a smaller or medium-sized creator, I don't think I'm medium yet, but I'm working on it. As a smaller creator, there's always a definitional battle in reference to the bigger creators in the space. So do you love or hate Hassan? Do you love or hate Vosh? Do you love or hate Destiny? In the political sphere, because you guys are the biggest, you basically have to pick some level of tribalist lines, and then it can be politically conducive for like political shorthand to say, oh, I agree with Destiny on this, 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 and this. You know what I'm saying? So people are kind of like swimming in
Yeah, we've become like the political parties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
are you a Democrat or Republican? Are you a Voshite? Are you a DGG? Or are you a, God forbid, a Hassan fan? Yeah.
Right. And then the struggle for smaller and medium creators is, when do you reach the size threshold where you can say you're an HGG, you're a Heen guy, or you're a fucking Dylan Burns guy, or you're a fucking Counterpoints guy, God forbid. But the fucking the point being that there's always this temptation to either side with the larger creator because you can swim in their clout wake when there's a big fight, or to fight the creator because you can basically capitalize on the anti-fandom. But then actually trying to strike a nuanced balance is always hard as fuck, because both of those sides fucking hate you because they just want you to take a side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So let me see if I got anything else, because I'm pretty sure I just said everything I needed to say in 20 seconds instead of fucking 20 minutes. So that's good.
That's good.
All right, cool. Then the Louis C.K. F slur thing. And if you want to, the abortion thing. Do you want to get into that shit, or do you feel like that was a nice clean
abortion.
segment?
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead.
All right, so really quickly, so it doesn't get lost. The Louis C.K. F slur discourse, while it was interesting for like the gay guy to say like, oh, well, I joke when you guys say the F slur, but realistically it kind of hurts me because historically it was used as a bundle of sticks, and bundles of sticks were used to burn like homosexuals. That is like completely ahistorical. So
yeah,
while
okay, hold on. That's totally the least important part of that entire guy's speech.
Are you gonna finish my idea for me?
Yeah, because people like do this weird thing where like, well, that actually isn't true. Yeah, that's not true. That thing is just made up. But I don't think that was the relevant part of what that guy was saying. But go ahead if you want.
Sure, but do you understand? So if you're coming from like a conservative upbringing, though, right? Like if you're coming from like a conservatarian right-winging upbringing, and you're looking for reasons to be like more charitable and intelligent and loving to your fellow man, that using misinformation, a subject that you're very passionate about, do you see how that can put a bad taste in people's mouths? When you use misinformation for a emotionally or logically correct thing, but it's based on a lie.
You're still talking to Destiny. That is a really bad thing. I think that's a pretty horrible thing when people do it. Yeah.
All right, based. So how about you take it away for abortion?
What about it?
Well, there was that chick who basically regretted her miscarriage because her fucking partner, who she said... All right, so I'll summarize the situation real quick. So a female...
Oh, God. The Sabrina fucking terror ghoul.
Do you want to do it, or should I do it?
Oh, God. So it was the girl that got pregnant, had second thoughts about having a baby after telling her boyfriend that she would abort, and then he gets distant, and then she tries to date him again 3 years later. He rejects her, and then for clout, she releases some stupid fucking video trying to ride off the back of the Me Too movement, because the Me Too movement has become synonymous with every single random complaint a girl could have about a relationship. Yes. What about it?
Okay. So I'm a father, you're a father. And I think that there's a certain amount of illogic to the situation. And during that stream, you were a little abrasive, which I know is like out of character for you. But you were saying that the fact that she changed her mind after getting pregnant was such a red flag that this dude was completely justified in keeping her at arm's length, and you would go running, screaming in the opposite direction. And if anybody showed any inclination or proclivity to be similar, you would see that as a red flag and run in the opposite direction. Does that feel like a fair assessment?
Was that my exact quote? Because people misquote me a lot.
No,
But
it's not. It's not an exact quote.
If I had somebody that was changing the amount of that, I would do what I need to do to get through the abortion, and then I would never see that person again, or I would never date that person again, or trust somebody again. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Then looking for, I don't know, descriptive concession or whatever. Do you think that it's entirely possible that through the hormonal processes of basically becoming pregnant, that a woman who was previously 100% career focused and dedicated to being independent and not having kids and this, that, if she goes through the early stages of pregnancy, she might change her mind?
Don't care.
Okay. But do you understand, like, even if you don't care, do you understand that, like, that is a biological really process that
I don't care. I don't care. No, it's not a bio. No. One thing that
Why would it not be a biological process?
One thing that I've become increasingly less concerned with, and I felt this way back when I was like 17, 18, and I let myself go too far in the other way on it, is the constant excuses for everybody being a weak, spineless fucking person as soon as anything gets tough. I reject that. You can't call yourself a good person, a smart person, somebody does what's right, somebody that does what needs to be done. If every single time things get difficult, you fold. So no, I reject that. If somebody does fold because things get difficult, I'm empathetic that they're a weak, spineless fuck, but I don't want to share my life with that person, right? Do things go crazy? Do you get hormonal and all that shit? Yeah, of course you do. That's fine. That's not an excuse to undo. I mean, like, when women become hormonal, their brains don't fucking devolve into ovarian mush that just sloshes around in their head and they lose all capacity for critical thought, right? Can things get confusing for a while? Sure. Are abortions hard? Absolutely. Are pregnancies rough on the body? Sure. Is there a possibility that, like, you need to have a conversation and all that shit? Yeah, sure. But if you're talking some crazy shit like, I think I kind of want to keep it. Oh, that's great. I don't want to keep you. No, that's bullshit. Everybody is emotional. Everybody has difficult things that happen in their lives. You can't use these things as excuses to be completely and totally irrational for extended segments of your life. That's bullshit. Sorry. That's what I feel. Love you.
No, that's fine. But if anybody wants to run that clip back, I do believe that hormones can make you a fucking psychopath.
Guys get really horny and rape women sometimes too, but we don't make excuses for them.
So, okay. So the two paths. So you just indicated a logical pathway in which, like, testosterone, rage, hormones, this, that, the other can lead to a rape. Can you see from a conservatarian or conservative perspective that if you have two paths before you, and one of them is the biological drive to create life, and one of them is the desire to continue on with your career, and the psychopathic, emotional, hormonal part of you is to continue a human life, and the rational, cold, calculated part of you is to terminate a pregnancy, which you were talking about how you don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about all the people who use sanitized fucking language in reference to abortion. Yeah, sure. Maybe like 15 weeks or 15 weeks or younger. It's the biological equivalent of a fucking insect. After 15 weeks, it gets a shitload more fucking complex biologically. And anybody who fucking doubts that shit, go ahead and Google a fucking 18-week or 16-week fucking fetus and tell me that shit isn't a fucking baby. Anyways, so the fucking point being that, like, if there's a difference between, I don't know, rape, like we said, down the hormonal path, and then the hormonal path for pregnancy is continuing life, do you see how some conservatarians would fucking defend the woman listening to her procreative instincts in that situation?
Yeah, I don't know why we needed to say so much to say so little. Sure.
I was outlining my fucking logic, motherfucker. You talk for 3 hours a day.
I understand your logic, but then on the flip side, now you have somebody that's on the hook.
Are you psychic? Do you know every fucking thing that I was gonna say? Did you know everything I was gonna say before I said it?
It's like you're listing out this whole grand rationale for why somebody might make a decision that would fucking destroy your life. That's
you
great.
have sub-zero IQ motherfuckers in your chat, and you're asking me why I'm bothering to explain shit, and you're a Twitch streamer? Are you fucking kidding me?
Okay, I'm just saying that there's like this whole grand thing laid out. Like, fine, I can be empathetic towards all of that. I can be empathetic towards some people that grew up in really abused households that rape kids. It doesn't mean I want my kid getting raped. It doesn't mean I want to be raped as a kid. And it doesn't mean I want to be on the hook for 18 years for a girl that changes her mind because she's hormonal about being fucking pregnant when you've already had an explicit conversation about it. You can give me the whole details of how beautiful and pretty a 14-week fetus looks until you're fucking blue in the face. It's not going to change my feelings on the issue. Or the feelings of a guy that's in a relationship with a girl that wants to renege on a promise to get an abortion if she gets pregnant.
Okay, interesting. So this brings up the next question. You gave what I viewed as pretty based advice when it comes to people who are engaging in risky sexual behavior and then find themselves in increasingly complicated and shitty situations. That's a sanitized way to fucking sum up that drama, right? So basically, do you think that it would be so you're a unique individual. You have pretty
I prefer the term exceptional, but yeah, sure.
Okay, you're an exceptional individual. There are very few people.
I'm glad my feelings were valid on that word, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. There you go. There you go, buddy. I'm very happy to support you emotionally in this time of need.
Thank you.
So, so the point being, you're an exceptional individual. You're carrying out a relationship that is, I'm sure, challenging at times, and you're also obeying rules and mores that are probably not. They would be challenging to even the most tough individuals. As a general rule, because we're dealing with general rules, not exceptions, do you think that it would be acceptable to say, hey, don't have casual sex with a chick unless you think that there's a chance that she might get pregnant, and you would be okay with the production? Like, even if you didn't stay with her, you would be okay with kind of like combining your genetic material into progeny?
Are we saying don't fuck somebody unless you'd get them pregnant?
Don't fuck somebody unless you're okay. Like so, for instance, there's a whole bunch of people who make compromises. There are crazy people out there.
We don't have to do an example. Just tell me what you said. That's okay.
I'm saying don't fuck crazy people. I'm saying don't fuck ugly people. I'm saying fuck people that you're okay with having kids with, and as a general rule, you should follow that.
Sure, some people say that. I think that's a little bit unreasonable, but okay. But
Why is it unreasonable?
Because I think that between two mature adults, you should be able to come to an agreement about what'll happen in the case of an accidental pregnancy. But
okay, you're an exceptional person. How many exceptional people have you met? How many mature adults have you met?
Like 2. Are you okay?
Yeah, buddy. I just feel like that statement proves my point. But that's okay.
Okay, nobody's allowed to have sex anymore. Everybody's too.
No, you can have sex, but if you're gonna fuck if you're gonna have sex with somebody who has mental issues or addiction issues, or if they're not as attractive as you want them to be, or something like that,
I don't think she had any of those issues. Did she have like mental or addiction issues?
Well, she made that fucking video that you basically went on a tirade about for 2 hours. Does she seem like the peak of mental health to you?
I don't know. That was 3 years later, bro. Clout makes people do crazy things.
Yeah, you're right.
Been a normal person throughout all of the relationship. I don't know. I'm not here to fucking evaluate that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. That's all I had to talk about.
Okay.
Do you have anything that you want to talk about?
No, I'm just glad you validated my feelings like 3 times. I feel my mood is uplifted.
Okay, can I share this with you for real?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think I do agree that parasocialism is a problem, but there are some motherfuckers that you're like, hey, he might be a fucking asshole, but he seems like he'd be a cool dude to hang out with, right? So I think you'd be a cool dude to hang out with if there was
that's because I am a cool dude.
There you go. So if it seems like I'm acting like I know you better than I do, or if it seems like I'm more friendly than I should be based off of our pseudo-professional, pseudo-social interaction.
We can be friendly. That's cool. I'm okay with being friendly. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then when I'm shitposting on fucking DGG or you on fucking Twitter, it's not an attack. I'm just having fun. And yeah, that's all I got. You know, your feelings are valid. I appreciate you. I love DGG as a community, despite... Oh, hold up. I thought of one last thing. Okay, so during your review of the Hippy Dippy panel, you were expecting that everybody was going to shit on you and basically dance on your grave. What happened... That was your prediction the day before.
Oh, but I might not have remembered who was on the panel, but okay. Because the one that I ended up watching, I think there were like 6 people that were like pretty friendly. I was like, oh, it's probably not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So it was like, this was the day before, so I don't even think you knew who was on there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so your prediction was that people were going to shit on you and tap dance on your grave or whatever. What happened was basically, I believe it was Josie She was the only person who was like, yeah, fuck that motherfucker. Everybody else was like, no, look at all the good he's done.
Mentally deranged, but yeah.
Well, so I felt the need to be a little bit more like, okay, well, here's all the impacts that people don't want to concede, this, that, the other. But then I defended you on the fucking 41% joke, and you went to go get a goddamn bowl of cereal. It was like a fucking 60-second goddamn rant about edgy humor and being intelligent and fucking being racist.
Also, to be clear, I didn't make a 41% joke, just to be clear, because some people seem to think I did, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, if anybody, so all I wanted to say was, even if I'm taking shots at DGG or yourself, it's meant in good fun, it's meant in love, it's meant in respect, and if somebody wants to clip my little rant on the fucking 41% and fucking send it to you, I would be appreciative, because I felt like I articulated I felt like I articulated your perspective without being a dick, and I hope that it gave some of your detractors pause. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you. Whenever you feel like, we know each other a little bit better, I would love to take you to, like, Machine Gun America, or we can shoot some dryers or washers or some tannerite or some shit. And, just let me know when we can.
Is it an outdoor range or an indoor range?
Well, your preference. Machine Gun America is up here in Central Florida, but there might be one down in Miami, and then I would have to find a range in Miami. So I don't know that many places down there.
All right, I love you, buddy.
Okay, I love you too. I love you too, and I care about your feelings. You have a great one.
Thank you. Bye.